Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 868, VARsenal. Hello, Big Chillians, and welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined as always with Eddie. Eddie, how's it going?
Yeah, things are going pretty well. Had a good double paddle session today, so a little tired. Only wrapped up about an hour before we're recording now, my second match, but did not play well.
Man. Ooh.
So, yeah.
A lot of paddle.
Yeah, I mean, I like playing. It's the easiest way for me to try and get fitter because I just enjoy it and I can just go. I could honestly play for 7 hours a day if it were available to me and if I could stop working. That would be, the job is a slight hindrance, but yeah. But you messaged me. You said you had a massive pickleball success.
Yeah, first ever win on court one. So I think we mentioned last week, I'm finally moved up on the ladder league to the first court. I then went 0 for 3 and got bumped down the next week back to court 2, which was yesterday. Worked my way back up to court 1. I think I went undefeated on court 2, went back up to court 1 and won a match and then lost one 15-13 and then 15-11. So 2 close matches. And the one that we almost won the 13-15 match, that was the 2 guys on court 2 playing the 2 guys on court 1. You know, like we had come from court 2 to court 1. It would have been a massive upset. The Minneapolis Tribune would have got a fucking front page article on us had we made that upset. But yeah, and you know what, as we talked about last week, they were slightly playing down. And then we took about a 5 or 6 point lead, and you can tell they kind of sped it up a little bit and started to get to us a little bit better. But we kind of held our own. It was a very close match. And actually, all 3 of the matches were really close back and forth. The last one, I think everyone was kind of getting a little tired, so there was a little more bad shots and mistakes happening. But definitely felt more comfortable this week than last week. Still can feel I don't fully belong there. But at the same time, being on court 2, I was like, I can definitely win on this court. I deserve to move up, but not at the level of the top, 3 or 4 people. So I have a tournament next week, men's doubles. My mixed doubles partner cannot make it. So we're doing, I have another person I play with that we're going to do a men's doubles. So we'll see how that goes.
Who's better or worse than you?
We're probably pretty similar. I'd say we're actually very, very close. We both have really good serves, strong serves. I'm probably a little better at the net, dinking, and he's a little better, forehand volleys, things like that. But we're pretty similar. I think we make a good team. We play together a decent amount because we're in the leagues together and we do pick up sometimes together. So we're entering one level higher than we should because there's a few more teams on the higher level than there are in the lower one. So we wanted to kind of play different people and not just play the same 2 or 3 teams because it's a small tournament, like a local one. So we'll see how that goes. That could be very bad. We could get smoked very quickly.
I'm planning to join my first paddle tournaments. I looked at the schedule today and identified a couple that looked doable. So
any in Minneapolis?
I haven't had a look, but I'll see. Maybe for next time I'm there, I'll see if I can coordinate it with a.
But you need a partner.
Well, I do think it's similar to what you've experienced with pickleball. I think there are some tournaments you go to where you don't necessarily arrive with a partner. It's doubles, but you kind of go with a singles mentality and you get paired up with someone and then you see. And then there are others obviously that you need to have your partner for. But yeah, that's my big challenge is I want to find. I'm playing with this. I've played a couple times now with an English guy, and it's actually quite nice for me to speak in English when I play, just because as much as French is not a language barrier, it's still just sort of more relaxed. Yeah. And I also think there's a big cultural difference between how Anglophones versus French people sort of think and communicate. French people are a lot more. You, I mean, you always joke that there's no word for sportsmanship in French, and it's kind of true. So there's not a lot of recognition of the other team doing something well, and I don't necessarily mean that you need to be constantly saying "nice shot" or whatever, although I do think that's nice. But I think it's reflected in the how critical they are of themselves. You can hit an amazing shot and win the point against them, and they're still thinking like, "I could have hit that one volley better." It's
Yeah.
like, okay, that's true, but maybe just accept that every once in a while someone's going to hit a winner, and that's fine. And you can't, how many phases back do you want to go before you? Or if I hadn't served, okay, that would also have been an option. But yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. It's good to see how you do.
I'll be really disappointed if I don't win the tournament because I have to enter the lowest. I genuinely, unless I get a completely bum partner, I have to start at the very, very lowest.
Because you don't have like a ranking.
Yeah, so I have to go into what are called the P25s. Those are the absolutely lowest ranked thing. And I'll be
Yeah.
honest, based on the people I play against, if I can't win that tournament, the only way I can see it not happening is if there just happened to be like
A
a
bunch of
good
people like you.
yes. And they need to be two of them because I can still feel confident if it's me against one guy who's also like me and good. Okay, I can handle that. But if it's two 20-year-olds, you're like, well, we're just starting off playing competitive paddle, then I may be in trouble.
Yeah. It's funny.
Yeah. So you normally now I know you like to set the table in terms of telling listeners the topics that are likely to appear over the course of the episode.
Yeah, there really weren't much to put on the list. So I figured we'd probably get into the one main topic right away, which is the Premier League and the title race, and a very controversial, we'll say, finish to the Arsenal match.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can briefly just sort of acknowledge the fact Manchester City played Saturday night, so for the first time in a long time, they got the opportunity to play first, and they played Brentford and won 3-0. They kind of huffed and puffed. It wasn't the most convincing victory, and probably 3-0 flattered them in the end. But at the same time, it looked like they were going to win the whole time. It's just they were sort of struggling to create clear-cut chances for a little bit, and Doku produced a wonderful opening goal to make it 3 very good goals in the last week for him. But,
Yeah.
City did what they needed to do, and then obviously moved on to Arsenal, who if I thought City huffed and puffed, I don't know what Arsenal were doing because I think there were large parts of that game where West Ham were actually the better team. And I think that's a big
Yeah.
contrast. City were struggling to break Brentford down, but they were always the better team. Whereas you could tell Arsenal for the first opening 20-ish minutes were really on top against West Ham. They didn't score, and I think West Ham got this bit of confidence of, oh, we can actually live with them. And so not only do we need to have just 11 men behind the ball, we can be a bit more adventurous in our style of play. And they started to push a bit forward, create a couple of good opportunities. They were unlucky not to score, not only with the disallowed goal that they had, but Raya produced a wonderful save as well, not
Yeah.
long before that. So, yeah,
A wonderful save or a really poorly taken opportunity.
it
I
wasn't
think
well.
you have to score from that position.
You always say the first thing you got to do is put it on target. He at least did that. I do think it was so if we're talking about the one where Raya made himself big in the kind of one-on-one scenario, I do
Yeah.
think you have to go across the keeper because that's the only place you really have an angle. And
Yeah.
yes, you can try and surprise someone by going near post, and a lot of times it works because the goalkeeper is expecting you to go across them. But he went near post, and Raya was just there. So it's true. It's not as if he had to react to the ball. He had just made himself big and blocked it. But he still had to make himself big at the right time,
Yeah.
and goalkeepers mess that up
It's
all
a
the
nice
time.
save, and it's a very big save, but I think as the attacker, you have to that's to me more of a miss than it is a save.
Yeah, I'll agree with you, but he at least did the job of putting it on target, and so often
Yeah.
you see players fail to do that. Um, But yeah, no, it was. And I think the difference is City deserved to win. I think a draw would have been a fair result on that match.
Yeah.
And then obviously you got into the controversial moment, which is City scored. Trossard put them ahead in the 83rd minute. And then, you kind of thought, well, that will be that. And then in the 95th minute, Callum Wilson, he was actually unlucky in the attempt that he had to force the corner. There was a good block. I think it probably would have gone
Yeah.
in had the
I
defender
think it was
not made that.
Gabriel.
Yeah, had the
Yeah.
defender not made that block. Went out for a corner, and then he scored from the ensuing corner. And then after 5 or 6 minutes of VAR reviewing it, they decided that there was a foul on Raya.
Clear and obvious foul.
Yes. Which
I hate that phrase so much.
and here's the thing is, there was a foul on him. His arm is being grabbed, and the way that goalkeepers are protected nowadays, not even if you remove the arm being grabbed, you could probably argue that he's just being sort of blocked in a way that isn't fair. So in a sense, I don't see anything wrong with the decision. However, you can watch that cornerback, and I think you could give West Ham 5 penalties.
Yeah. It's
The
true.
most egregious one is Declan Rice, who is just fully wrapped around a player behind him. At the same time, the West Ham player who fouls Raya his shirt is being pulled down
Pulled.
by Gabriel, and you could
Yeah.
argue that might have actually been inconveniencing his ability to then get his arm out of the way.
Yeah.
There's a host of other
Trossard is
players.
also like literally just holding a player, like straight up, like arms locked in around the player.
And that's the reason why I don't like the penalty being given. Because I think if you're the video referee and you look at that, you go, this isn't the NFL. We can't have offsetting penalties. But in a sense, you kind of have to have offsetting penalties in that situation and decide, you know what? Probably Arsenal actually, the Arsenal foul probably has occurred first. So the only thing I'd be satisfied with in the referee and video referee intervening is disallowing the goal, but awarding a penalty to West Ham.
Penalty to yeah, yeah.
That okay, if you want to do that, I can maybe live with it. But other than that, and ultimately, I don't know if this is the best sort of barometer for assessing. I do think there's you say you don't like the clear and obvious. If it takes you
I
5
just hate the
minutes,
phrase. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's like
but if it takes you 5 minutes to review it and watch it from 17 angles and then
yeah,
also call the on pitch referee over to take another look at it, it's clearly not clear and obvious.
yeah.
So so
It's
you
clearly, obviously not clear and obvious.
yeah, because you're not sure. And so you probably should just sit tight.
Yeah,
And then we get into the second mitigating circumstance, which is Arsenal have made a living out of doing exactly what West Ham did
yeah.
to them. They
The
crowd
inconsistencies.
they crowd goalkeepers, they get all around them.
Yeah,
They have basically adopted the approach, certainly on attacking corners, of we will foul everyone all the time, and they can't always call it. So
yeah.
we're going to get away with it once or twice a match, and that might be the thing that scores a goal. And
It's
even
like the NFL and holding.
even defensively, they do it because again, you could just give a penalty to the team against. And look, I'm not trying to single them out. You can watch every corner, and you could probably award
Well,
a penalty every time because we've just accepted now that people can wrap their arms around people and in a sense defend people in a way that we would never allow outside of the box. Like this is the thing that blows my mind is if you do that anywhere else on the pitch, it's a foul without a moment's doubt.
yeah.
But you
It's a
can
good
do it
point.
you can do it in the penalty area. Like you can pull shirts, you can wrap your arms around people, you can push yourself up, like using other people as leverage. You can do all sorts of things, and referees turn a blind eye to it. I would rather watch a match with 55 penalties where they just start to say, stop doing this. Like, let's go back to defending properly. They'll never do it, but it would be fun. It would, it's like, and we do have it to a degree. There was the World Cup when they started cracking down on that, and there was the group stage, and England started getting penalties all the time
Yeah,
because no one could stop them from penalties. Like whoever it was, Panama, who just didn't know what to do anymore, and they just were like, well, we're just going to, and I'd rather see that. And then people will stop. The players aren't stupid. They're not going to keep giving away penalties.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you say you're not singling out Arsenal. I think the internet is definitely singling out Arsenal. I saw a bunch of posts of different scenarios that they had the almost the exact reverse, situation where no penalty or card was given. I think the most egregious of them being against Everton, when I forget who it is. The Arsenal player is literally basically just like punching the the Everton keeper in the face, and there was no penalty called on that end of it. But
Yeah,
on this
and
one,
against Manchester
obviously it is
United,
called.
you've got Gabriel doing almost
Yeah.
exactly the same thing, to the United keeper, and then, yeah,
And
they
that's what's annoying to me, and I think what you're touching on as well is like the inconsistency is so frustrating. And if it's taking you that long to make the decision, then be consistent and say we obviously don't see enough, or there's too much going on here for us to fully definitively say yes.
and this is the thing that bothers me is we bring in video officiating to try and remove inconsistencies, to try and avoid big mistakes, to try
Yeah.
and flatten out the curve, basically, and
Yeah.
I don't think it's doing that, and so there's no point because you're still
I,
making mistakes. You're still having controversial decisions. You're still having inconsistent officiating. So there is no point. All you're doing is delaying a match because I could live with watching a referee in real time make a mistake. It happens.
yeah.
I think if you're an Arsenal supporter and the West that goal had been given to West Ham yesterday, you could kind of look, hey, it was almost a scrum taking place around the ball. Yes, they would have been Arsenal fans slowing it down and showing the replay and stuff, but I think you could have lived with it. I think it's difficult as a West Ham supporter to tell yourself, but we can watch similar instances that went unpunished with just as many replays. And so what's the difference? And why are we potentially, because, yes, it's easy to focus on the implications that this has for the title race in Arsenal and Manchester City. This also has tremendous implications on the bottom of the table. That might be the difference between West Ham staying up and West Ham being relegated. Which is
Yeah.
far more
Oh yeah.
consequential in a lot of ways than who wins the Premier League.
Yep.
So you know, as that video referee, I get it. Maybe that's why you're taking a lot of time because you're aware of how significant the decision is. But you may have decided not only the outcome of the Premier League title yesterday, but also who gets relegated by deciding
Yeah.
like that was a clear and obvious mistake. That doesn't seem appropriate to me.
So the question I have is VAR completely centralized? Like in the sense that in the NHL, it goes to like one room in Toronto that makes every like video decision. And the NFL, I think now the NFL has like its own room that's the same people that are making those decisions, which I think then should yield some more consistency where it's the same people making the decisions where they can almost be in the room and say like, "Hey, 2 weeks ago we saw something pretty similar. We didn't make that call. I think we should do the same here." I don't know if it is centralized for the Premier League.
It is. So they are all based out of a
It
place
is.
called Stockley Park. That's where they are. So yeah, it's the similar thing. And the argument there is obviously it puts them in the perfect environment. You're not running the risk that from one stadium to the next there's not enough
Yeah.
screens or whatever. And you're also obviously removing yourself from any influence from the crowd, just in case you even felt the pressure of sort of fans reacting to something. But yeah, it, it's just. And you know what? I also I feel sorry for Arsenal supporters in a way. I feel sorry for them that honestly, there's a huge asterisk that's going to go next to them winning this title because there's a number of things that you can say to go, you kind of all went your way. Like, it went your way in that Manchester City making the final of the FA Cup meant that they kept having matches postponed, and so even when they beat you in what felt like a bit of a title decider, then you had the opportunity to put 6 points on the board before they even played their next match. And, yeah, you can I get it. If you're an Arsenal fan, you could say, "Well, if we lost either of those matches, then we would have been handing the title to Manchester City." But realistically, you expected both teams to win the remaining matches, so it's advantage to the team that goes first. And then you have decisions like this, and you have the ugly football that they play, and that this kind of leans into this idea that I mean, already the criticism is that they mostly score from set pieces, and now it's like even when you're conceding from set pieces, you're being bailed out. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It raises an interesting point we'll have to discuss in the future of sort of where this Arsenal team will rank in the worst Premier League title winners of all time, because I legitimately think they have to enter the discussion because I don't think they're
Wow.
good, which is crazy to say about a team that's also in the Champions League final. But
And
like,
might have the best Champions League win ever.
in what way?
A pretty solid unbeaten run throughout the entire tournament.
Yeah, but they've played. Who have they played? I
Hey,
mean,
you can only play the people that are put in front of you, Eddie, and they've run through them all.
yeah, but PSG have done that as well, and they've faced far stiffer competition on the other side of the draw. So yeah, it's I don't know. I just think so in that sense, it's a shame for them because as I said, there was almost an opportunity if, we spoke about it heading into their sort of that match against each other. There was an opportunity for Arsenal to prove themselves either by beating City in that clash or then in the ensuing matches really going out and just sort of steamrolling teams in the way that we've seen City do down the stretch in the past. And they get helped by City immediately slipping up, but then they're also just kind of limping their way towards this Premier League victory where you really look at it and go, I mean, in the second half of the season, they've been I legitimately don't know if right now you had to say Manchester United play Arsenal in a home and away tie. I don't know who I'm confidently betting on. Honestly. And again, that's insane to say about a team that will almost certainly win the Premier League and will lose in the Champions League final, but still made the final of the Champions League. But yeah, a shame. And they're really lucky, I will say, the Premier League, that Spurs then drew tonight. And that
Yeah.
kind of bails them out a little bit because if Spurs had won and effectively you were looking at West Ham kind of being relegated. I mean, there would have been very little way for them to get out if they were 4 points behind with, a couple of matches to go. At least now, you know, if I'm in charge, if I'm work for the Premier League uh, in any capacity, I'd honestly hope now that Arsenal blow it and that West Ham stay up, and that you
Save
remove,
face.
yeah, you remove any of the controversial discussion by, but and all at the same time, look, I'm not West Ham from a karmic perspective, 100% deserve to be relegated based on controversial decisions like that because they once broke every transfer rule under the sun to sign Tevez and Mascherano, and those were the players that made the difference in them staying up down the stretch, and they then weren't punished appropriately and relegated at the time. So, that's going back 20 years, but still, they're not a club that's been on the consistently on the sort of wrong side of decisions in crucial relegation battles. But yeah, we'll see. I still think Arsenal could slip up again, and I still think City could slip up again. But I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's completely done. But it's a shame they may have escaped the slip up that they were going to have. But on the back of those controversial VAR decisions, there was discussion surrounding the fact that the idea that the Premier League could widen the scope of VAR for next season, and that appears that it will now be rejected because there was talk that they would maybe expand the areas that VAR could get intervene, which could have also included corners and second yellow cards, which are the same standards that they will be using at this year's World Cup, for example. But that will not be the case. And again, I have to say, when we kind of spoke about it last episode, I think if you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound on this one. I
Yeah, what's
don't
the difference?
like
I don't get it.
because again, so you can make the mistake of awarding a corner, the team like if West Ham had been incorrectly awarded the initial corner and then VAR had stepped in to disallow the original goal, and you'd be like, well, okay, it's not
Yeah.
history writing itself.
I guess as long as you can be quick and efficient. I mean, that's the issue, right? And I think that comes back to that point where if it's taking so long to make a decision, then clearly the decision can't be made. Like you should be able to make a quick, accurate decision with the technology you have available, and that won't really slow down the game much if you add it to, new scenarios within the match. So I don't see a difference there.
Corners should be super fast. I mean, it's rare to have a corner where you really, really don't know
Yeah,
what happened.
if it was or not.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, one replay you can usually tell. So, it's maybe a 5-second delay at most, but probably in the time that it's no delay.
Wait, 5 seconds? It takes the NFL 3 minutes to do the stupid football on the first down yes or no line. It takes them longer than it took the chain gang to walk out. You think this is gonna be done in 5 seconds?
Well, we already see it to a degree because we see it with the accelerated dealing with offside now. So we already manage. The NFL makes a show of how games are officiated. They've tried to skip it a bit because now they get the call down of correcting a call, and that doesn't disrupt the flow of the game. So they've shown, for
That's
example,
nice.
they've shown in the NFL that
They can.
they don't need all the pomp and circumstance that they decide to have from an officiating perspective.
Yes.
But you know, but they do, and yeah, the corner could be realistically you could correct the decision prior to the ensuing goal kick or corner being taken. The only chance I guess you could be a little iffy is maybe a team would know. It's sort of like sprinting to the line of scrimmage to snap the ball before there's the chance of a challenge flag being thrown. Maybe you could be in a scenario where the ball goes out for a goal kick and a goalkeeper could rush to take the goal kick to try and do that. In a sense, if you want to go for that, if that's how desperately you want to avoid a corner, I guess more power to you. But it would be, incredibly rare to happen. But yeah, I don't, as we discussed, if you're gonna send someone off, well, why is a second yellow card? But then the issue becomes if you're gonna intervene on the second yellow card, why aren't you intervening
Why
on the
not the
first?
first?
So it's like you could make a mistake on the first yellow card and the player gets booked, but then you make sure he gets booked for the second ones to ensure that he's sent off. That doesn't really make sense to me either.
I think maybe we should start giving managers the opportunity to throw the red flag like the NFL, because I think they could be very artistic and over the top with their
They
throws and their
they discuss
statements.
the ideas of challenges, and to a certain extent, I don't mind it. Like it would solve some of the problems because also this goes back to what we spoke about last episode as well. The problem I have with that goal being disallowed is the way that match had been refereed up until that point was that people from corners were allowed to grab each other, tackle each other, interfere with each other, and that's what was allowed. And so, in a sense, you remove the idea that the referee on the pitch has kind of
Yeah,
set the standards for everyone because then we all know that the moment that someone gets asked to go to the screen, they are changing their decision. Like it's never not happened. So they may as well skip that process as well because it's just some sort of unnecessary action of like, you need to go and look at this. Okay, so now we know what's happening. Either a penalty is now being given or a penalty that was given is now not being given. It's not, but yeah, it's a shame.
we we should do like an episode where we talk about like unique rule changes that we think should happen in different sports. That'd be pretty cool.
I've got so many just ready to go.
Speaking of football, Eddie, in anticipation of the World Cup, did you see Adidas or Adidas had a new commercial, like a movie feature commercial? Have you seen it?
The one with Timothy Chalamet and
Yeah.
Rashford
What'd
and
you
you
think?
mean Lamal. I actually thought it was
No,
pretty.
Bellingham, not Rashford.
Oh yeah, Bellingham. Yeah, I actually thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was fine.
The only critique I would have here, and I understand why,
More
but
more Bad Bunny?
no, but, like, I
Oh,
presume,
I
and
know.
I'm gonna show some of my ignorance here. I presume the woman in the car is a professional player?
Trinity Rodman.
Oh, that's who it was? I didn't pay enough
Yeah.
okay. I understand that it's important to have representation of different things, but this is the Men's World Cup, so if I was gonna be a little critical, I would say maybe just have 3 players who are going to play in this World Cup, in the same way that if the Women's World Cup is coming up, don't shove Lamine Yamal in the back of the car either, but that's a minor gripe, and ultimately, I don't really care. But
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was good. I thought Timothy Chalamet did a good job. It's way better than most of the things associated with how this World Cup is being promoted. And the news surrounding all of that, I don't know how much you see, it's just disastrous in terms of
It's
ticket
crazy.
sales, hotel occupation, everything. It is just
Yeah.
looks as if it's headed
Hotels
towards
are
a
down.
disaster. Down on normal attendance,
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
even not
No,
even
like,
on
not
expectations.
10, like yeah, yeah, like, cities have lower hotel reservation levels than just in a normal year.
Like, and let people need to let that sink in because I understand, like, when the Olympics were coming, there was some conversation that actually that was hurting some degree of tourism because it was people who would have normally gone to Paris during, in terms of a normal tourism, decided to avoid it, and there was so much talk about how expensive it was gonna be and how things weren't gonna work that also people were maybe skipping it because of that. So, okay, that's the case. But there are fewer people going to Kansas City this this June on holiday than normally go there. Just that's New York or LA, okay. I can maybe get that people are being put off by things, but
Did
Kansas
you
City
see
is struggling?
did you see FIFA also just released these really, I think, for the most part, pretty ugly, like, special release kits of that depict the host cities? Have you seen this? It's like they're like limited edition kits that you can buy that like each one uniquely resembles or is supposed to embody one of the host cities, and they're selling them for like $380. And
Nice.
people are like, FIFA is just so fucking out of touch with reality. It's insane.
No, I mean, and look, the World Cup has spiraled in costs over the last few years, but this time around, it just everything feels like such a money grab by everyone involved, and it's just a shame to see because that isn't what the sort of ethos of the competition is supposed to be, and the spirit, and you even see it too, and again, this isn't anti-American in a sense, but the Americanization of some of these elements, which is FIFA doing this. It's nothing to do with the US. But they also announced that players, for example, are gonna have a little special, sort of badge on their shirts for if they're making their debut in the World Cup, in the same way that the NFL has done this, so that when you play your first game, there's a little badge on there, and I think Major League Baseball does it too. Those sports often do it because they then turn that into a card and stuff. So it's just a way of monetizing that initial jersey and authenticating it to a certain degree. The badge is really ugly, and international kits for the most part are quite clean. There's no sponsors, there's no nothing. It's usually just a relatively small manufacturer's logo plus the national badge. It's just making it too busy and okay for the most part. It's only the first game. It's only the game you make your World Cup debut. It's not the whole
Yeah.
World Cup. So
No, they're doing one for like your second game, your third
they'll do that
game, your fourth
eventually.
game.
It should mean that we're kind of fully out of the way for the most part in the group stages, and that we shouldn't have to see these ugly badges anymore. But without doubt, there's going to be some substitute who gets brought on in the quarterfinals, semifinals, final who hasn't stepped foot onto the pitch up until that point, and that person's going to be wearing a stupid badge on their shirt for that moment. I don't know. We just don't need just simplify things. It was
Yeah,
working. You don't need to keep you don't need to keep complicating it, and you don't need to keep trying to drain every drop of money out of anyone who has any interest in attending.
I don't know if you saw one of the first NFL games was announced. The Dallas Cowboys at the New York Giants is going to be Sunday night,
Yeah.
prime time. Here we
Yeah.
go. Giants road to the Super Bowl starts on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, it's not the most appealing from a game from a neutral perspective, I mean, I know it's a historic rivalry, and I do like that the NFL tries, the opening games are divisional games. I do think that's a smart move. I think, and they end with divisional games too. It's the good way of doing it. So it does remove your ability to create some sort of more appealing matchups because some divisions just aren't that great on paper anyway. But yeah, I don't know if Giants Cowboys really does it for me heading into this season. I mean, I'll obviously
Well, you
watch it.
also have on the Wednesday on September 9th, it's going to be the Seattle Seahawks at the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, because they always have to do the reigning Super Bowl champion playing
Yeah.
someone, which, okay. And that's being
And I
played.
think
When's the game in Australia being played? Is that opening weekend?
so the 9th is the Seahawks. It's still to be announced, but it's been highly speculated and leaked that it will be the Green Bay Packers. That's the 9th. And then the 10th is the Rams at the Niners in Australia, which will be at 8:35 Eastern. And then Sunday the 13th. So that first Sunday night game will be Giants Dallas.
Which they're playing at the MCG. This also just shows, talk about money grabs. They basically just chosen the biggest stadium in Australia to try and pack people in and sell tickets at an absolute premium because, again, I can understand what's so appealing about showing, having NFL games played abroad. And I'm guilty of doing this anyway, but people treat it as like, oh, I'm only going to go to one NFL game this season. So I'll spend way more on this game than I would spend like if I lived in Minnesota. Like I would never spend $700 on this mediocre seat, but I'll do it now
Yeah.
because it's a one-off. And I've done that in London, and I'll do that this season in Paris. The MCG, the size of the pitch, you are going to be so far from the action, so far from what's taking place. I mean, it is an oval designed to have Australian rules and cricket played on it. It's massive even by cricket standards. The dimensions are, it's 173 meters long and 148 meters wide from fence
Wow.
to fence.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
So, like, yes, I know you have to stick everyone on the sidelines, and NFL sideline space it occupies quite a lot. But an NFL pitch is, the dimensions of an NFL field are pretty narrow, relatively speaking, compared to other sports. It's compared, say, to football, soccer, it's a narrower field. It's just going to look like you stuck. It's going to be like watching a tennis match played in like a football stadium. I mean, it just on paper sounds maybe cool. I know they play March Madness games in like the Cowboys Stadium and stuff, and people mostly say it works. It doesn't appeal to me at all, but I'm sure for the most part people will not complain about this, but I would not pay 900 Australian dollars to sit 200 meters away from what's being played.
Or you're going to have to pay something to sit 2 meters away from your TV to watch it because it'll be on Netflix only.
That's fine. I get Netflix for free anyway. Yeah, it will be nice, obviously, when the full schedule is announced, and then we can start to discuss the NFL season in a little bit more detail, really see who
Yeah.
benefits.
Released on this Thursday. So,
Although I do find the reaction to the schedule to be a little bit on par with immediate reaction to the NFL draft, which is people start, it's like we don't know enough about these teams. Every year there's teams that are worse than we think they're going to be and better that they're going to be.
yeah.
I never even fully understand the strength of schedule bit. Like I never really get how that works. I have to be honest, because it's all
Well, it
based
just
on,
works from the year before.
I know, but it's all based on past performance. So it's it's this idea of we're going to slightly punish you for being good or we're going to slightly reward you for being bad, but at the same time we might actually be completely punishing you for being bad because we're going to make you play against a team that looks nothing like the team that did badly last year or just had catastrophic injuries or were in a really tough division or who knows what happened, but otherwise they're a good team.
Yeah, it is a little tough. And then obviously Thursday when the schedules are released, we'll have to watch all the different release videos that teams come up with, which now has gotten to the point of just complete annoyance where
If and
everyone has to do something over the top and everyone gets crazier and crazier and like they're 15-minute fucking videos sometimes.
I can stand those. If any of the team do the stupid, let's interview people on the street who don't know this sport.
First time, amazing. First
Funny.
time was great. They
Yeah.
nailed it out of the park. Like one of the funnier NFL videos to
Yeah.
ever exist on the internet. The fifth time it's been done, it's
Again,
okay. I'm
we
good.
spoke about it last episode. If you're the first person to shout out when you're going to finish your charts, you're great. If you're the seventh person, you're not great. And yeah, with the same thing, the concept was a one and done and should have been one and done. You still see teams doing it across different sports. And what the thing that annoys me too is what was nice about it the first time is that it was felt real. Now people know what is happening. And so either they pretend they don't know who the teams are and they just say something dumb, or even if they don't know who the teams are, they say something even more stupidly outrageous
Yeah.
because they know that's going to get them in the video. And so, you know, if you looked at it and you're like the Cleveland Browns, I don't know, the Cleveland Helmets, okay, maybe that's believable. You're still an idiot that
Orange helmets.
yeah, but now when you're like, "Oh, headless dinosaurs," it's like, okay, probably not what you really would guess if your life depended on it. Any other, sporting topics to discuss?
Uh, Not really. I don't know if we saw the Wemby flagrant that he got thrown out of the game for yesterday, last night. That was pretty intense. That was clearly an ejection in NBA standards.
It was.
Full elbow wind up to the neck/chin.
It was, although I
That
do understand that he feels like he's not being protected by the officials and that he is being targeted, which he is. And so but, I mean, I'm not defending it. It's you elbow
sounds like you
someone.
are.
Well, you elbow someone in the face or neck, it's always gonna happen. But at the same
Wind up
time
elbow too.
at
That
the
was like a
s
full twist wind up.
at the same time, when you're constantly being pulled and pushed and hit, and he's unfortunate in a sense because he's so tall that his swinging elbow catches someone in the neck, whereas if he were let's not say normal size because no one in the NBA is normal size really, but if he'd been instead of being
NBA average.
if he'd been 6'10", then that's an elbow to the chest of
Chest.
the other guy, and then it's a flagrant one. He's not getting
Yeah.
ejected.
That couldn't have felt good. I'm gonna go out on the limb and say that probably didn't feel good.
No. But yeah, it would be obviously that ties that series at 2-all.
Yeah.
The this stage of the NBA playoffs have been a little bit underwhelming because the Oklahoma City Thunder are 3-3 up against the Lakers.
Knicks are 3 up, right?
Probably going to no, the Knicks swept the
Oh, they swept, that's right, yeah.
they won by like 40 points yesterday in game 4. The Cavs Pistons series is close. It's 2-1, but at least this throws a little bit of drama into the mix because otherwise, if that had been a win for the Spurs last night, then two things. A, you would have just run out of basketball to be played, and also then you start to feel sorry for the one series that is dragging on, both in terms of the implication it has from rest, but also that it almost makes it feel like you kind of inherently suck, even though in a way it's just more competitive.
Well, I don't know what the NBA does, but what's crazy what the NHL does, and actually maybe works to avoid teams getting like an abundant amount of rest is they start round 2 even if round 1 games aren't done yet. So, like, last week, there already been, like, multiple round 2 games that had started before round 1 had even fully finished yet.
I think they do that definitely for, say, round 2, but this would be heading into the Eastern and Western Conference Finals.
Yeah,
I
which you
don't
can't.
I don't think they would
You
start
can't.
the Western Conference Finals and then, because anyway, either one, two things gonna happen. Either you give them rest now or you give them rest before the finals themselves, so,
Yeah.
yeah. But it kinda looks inevitable that the Thunder will win. I mean, it just they seem so much better. They have so much strength and depth. I'm sure the Spurs could be a bit feisty and cause them some problems, and in the future, when Wembanyama might be so special that the Spurs may end up being the better team, but it again, from a very uninformed, uneducated, non-advanced analysis of NBA games, when I do watch them, which actually over the weekend I watched a lot of them, uh, it does feel as if they're just head and shoulders above everybody else when they really need to turn it on.
Any other sports topics?
I don't think so. I mean, I guess we can touch on the fact that the Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel scandal
Oh
just
my god.
gets worse by the day. I
It's
mean,
insane. It is insane. They're about 2 weeks away from finding a sex tape at this stage. A sex tape filmed by the husband or something, like, insane. It's just and obviously I'm joking and I, like, well, I don't wanna, like, get us in trouble for insinuating that there is something out there, but it's just, like, more and more things keep getting leaked that just are just like, bizarre. It's not even that they're like there's a scandal and they're cheating, it's just bizarre in the ways upon which that it's happening. Like, the whole boat thing when she's 7 months pregnant and they're renting a boat together, it's just so weird. And
yeah,
then, like, all the
and like,
resurface
and using their real
interviews and
names.
videos. Yeah, it's
And I
just
know
crazy.
you have to show ID, but like, don't you get someone else to rent the boat? Like, when you're both famous people, I don't know. Isn't there some way around that? Don't you just buy a boat for the weekend? I don't know what you do,
I'm
but
I by a boat. I feel obviously, I feel pretty bad for this husband who's just getting dragged under the coals here, but I kinda wanna know what he knows. Like, do you think she's telling the husband, like, "Hey, so I've got, like, half a day off and, you know Mike, right? Like, Mike, we're, like, friends. He rented a boat and he wants to he has an open spot, so I'm gonna go hang out with him on the boat." Like, is this, like, what's happening? Or is it complete, like, "Oh, I'm locked in the office all day today." Turns out she's, like, day tripping on a boat with Mike Vrabel.
I'm gonna guess he knew to some degree that they were hanging out, and for her, there's probably an
I don't
easy
know.
excuse of, "Look, I'm a beat reporter. I have to get close to people, and this is a really good chance for me to have an incredible source, and don't worry, he's married." There's
I
nothing
don't know what
there.
makes it worse. I don't know if hiding it makes it worse or like kind of hiding it, but not really hiding it makes it
I
worse.
mean, ultimately, right, obviously people knew because it was a private investigator who had the initial pictures. So at a certain moment in time, I think it appears that that was her husband that hired the private investigator. That's the sort of reported thing.
Her
So
ugly ass husband, according to her.
yes, who she doesn't want to have sex with and who she basically abused privately and publicly for years. But and the thing is I also saw like a Reddit thread that was laughing. He was a if you think you've had a bad couple of weeks, you could be Diana Rossini's husband because not only does he have to deal with this I mean, I feel sorry for him, this very public affair where you're having your personal
Yeah.
life just destroyed in the most public way possible. But he's also an executive at Shake Shack, and their share price has dropped. They're on the 6th of May, their share price was 96.52, and now their share price is 64.50. So they've
Oh
lost
my god, like a 30% decrease.
so they're also probably his personal life and his professional life are struggling.
Ugh. And not like the other really sad part of the story is their son Mike is gonna grow up one day and like suddenly click a link that has all of this, and it's gonna be fucking insane. That's gonna be a moment.
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem too with in the modern world, right? It would be impossible to hide that from your kids. And I mean, look, he's going
Oh
to
yeah.
get bullied at some point, even if you did your best to. You basically you need to be telling him his whole life. Like this just needs
Yeah.
to be the story he grows up knowing, because otherwise he's going to be 7 years old, and some kid is on
Yeah.
the school in the schoolyard is going to make fun of him, and it's just going to, I mean, just be awful.
No, you have to sit that kid down and say like, "Hey, listen, if anyone says anything to you, remember, your dad's an NFL linebacker."
But here's the thing is, like, I think it's not out of the realms of possibility that that is his kid, and it's not out of the realms of possibility that that gets revealed at some point, and this story has spun so far out of control that it went from a, "I don't think this will have many implications for Mike Vrabel because, okay, it's an extramarital affair, but it's not like the Michigan scenario. He's not sleeping with an employee. He's not doing anything that,
Yeah.
to a large extent, the Patriots kinda shouldn't care about it too much, even though you would probably prefer he isn't sleeping with an NFL insider. But I think this is getting close to the point where if you're him, you maybe decide you have to resign because you just need to get kind of away
Out of
from
the
some
spotlight.
some of the spotlight. And if you're the Patriots, I think you gotta get close to saying, "We think you need to resign," because there is no way, just with the fact that stuff keeps coming out
Yeah.
and is gonna
It's not
keep.
stopping.
No. And so your whole season next year now is gonna be overshadowed by this.
Yeah. Every away game, imagine the signs that are gonna come out.
Even home games. Even home games.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and the abuse that he's gonna be getting from people, I mean, he's gonna have to be and let's be real, there's not a lot of former NFL linebackers who are cool-headed in situations where they're getting abused, but the stuff that is gonna be said to him when he's coaching, he's gonna have to do so well. I mean, they're gonna need 19 big doms on the sidelines to try and
Oh,
keep
you're
him in
right.
check. If I were Big Dom, I'd be sending an application right now to the New England Patriots. Yeah, that's the only, like, other than that, it's obviously a fairly quiet sporting, I
I've
did
got one non-sporting top oh, go ahead.
the last one, I did see clips of the roast of Kevin Hart, which Tom Brady was
I
at.
didn't see it.
He's
Was it in Saudi Arabia?
it's terrible, like,
No, I
and
was actually kinda serious about that, but
I know I know he doesn't write the stuff, it's just the delivery is wooden, and on top of it, it's him just kind of making fun of Kevin Hart by reinforcing the fact that he's a seven-time Super Bowl champion, like, it's you don't do the same thing, so Kevin Hart also has an amazing life, I don't know, and is wildly successful, I don't know why rubbing in the fact, like, "You didn't win the Super Bowl." It's like, "Okay, you don't have blockbuster hit movies. What's the?"
neither does Kevin Hart.
Well, he kinda does, unfortunately.
I know he does. I actually kinda like Kevin Hart in movies sometimes.
He's okay,
He used to be funny, and then it kinda got too Kevin Harty.
and there's too much of him.
Yeah.
He's someone
One of my
suffer
all-time favorite Kevin Hart things ever is when him and Ice Cube, ride in the back seat, with Conan O'Brien when he does, like Conan does one of his
you br
skits. It's
you br you bring
I
that
love that.
you bring
I
that
love that skit.
on the podcast alone, you bring that sketch up minimum 4 times a year
I
for
love it. It's the
for
best Kevin Hart's ever been.
for such a relatively unimportant niche Conan bit. I don't know how he manages to get mentioned. If any
He's
of the
got 2 of
people,
them.
if basically
There's 2 of them, and they're both great.
it's guaranteed that you bring it up if either Kevin Hart, Conan O'Brien, or Ice Cube are mentioned. And then it's also guaranteed that you'll mention it if, like, anything driving is mentioned. It's but okay, moving
Speaking
on.
of travel, speaking
Okay.
of travel, I had a good thing pop up on my Yahoo newsfeed I thought you would like. So this is I'm gonna read you. This is someone from TikTok posted their incident that they lived through on a plane, and I'll read to you what they said on their Instagram story post. So it's a picture of the first picture is like looking out of a window at the like airplane wings. So obviously the person is in a window seat. And the next one is the woman posted this what she said here. What would you do? I got on the plane and a woman was sitting in my seat. And when I mentioned it to her, she said, "Oh, you want to sit here? I thought we could switch because these are my kids." Parentheses, she points to the two seats next to mine. I said, "As long as it's a window seat, I'm happy to switch." She points to the row behind us and says, "Mine is right there." Parentheses, it's the middle seat. The I will give one quick caveat to this story. The woman claims the woman whose seat it originally was claims that she picks and pays extra for the window seat because she has motion sickness and it helps her to be able to look out the window for her motion sickness. What do you do in that scenario?
So, I don't care about the motion sickness thing because I think that sounds a little bullshitty.
Hey, listen, as someone who had blood clots in her legs and needs the aisle seat, it's not bullshitty.
I didn't let you have that, so I think you know where my answer's going. But, because I don't
Can,
do people
can
get
I give you?
motion sickness on planes?
I think so, but probably not
And
often.
and
I've never
isn't
seen it.
and also isn't part of the idea of motion sickness that it's that you see the movement? Like, isn't it on cars sort of the idea is that you because you can it's impossible to not view the fact that you're moving, then that fucks with your brain. So actually, wouldn't you want to sit away from the window fundamentally?
No, because I
And
think you want to see. I always thought if you sit in the back seat when you're driving, when you can't see, that's when you get sick. And if you sit in the front seat and you can see like the driving, then you don't get sick.
I don't know. I know it's
But I'm
good.
gonna,
I know it's good to like see the horizon and stuff, but you're not really seeing
yeah.
it. I mean, it's to the side. I don't.
I
Anyway.
will give you one. I will give you one update to the story that maybe changes your mind.
Mhm.
The two children she points to are 11 and 15 years old.
So I don't care how old the children were. They could
They're
have
not
been
children. They're
no, 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 no.
15. That's
Well,
not children.
11 is a child, but they could have been 1 and 3 months, and I would have said, "Tough. Should have bought 3 seats next to each other." And this is but, like, I would say, "No, that's my seat," especially if it is true that you have paid more. But as soon as it shifts from window, as soon as a middle seat was on offer, then absolutely not. Because
This
also
is
t
an
because also too, the arrangement there that you could get is say like, "Oh, you need to sit next to your 11-year-old. No problem. You 2 sit there and your 15-year-old sits by themselves in the middle seat immediately behind you,
yeah.
because probably they're not gonna talk to you anyway."
Yeah, 50 he's in high school. He or she is in high school. You don't need to sit next to them.
And they
And
probably don't
here's
wanna
the
sit
other
next to
part.
you. That's
No, and
that
here's the other part that pisses me off about this story is the entitlement to already be sitting there.
yes.
I would almost if the person was sitting in the middle seat and then you sat down or as you were sitting down, you kind of went up to the person and said like, "Hey, before you sit down, these are my 2 kids here that you're gonna sit next to. Is it alright if we switch?" Like, that's at least a starting point that you can get behind. I would then also probably throw in the, like, even though it's stupid, like, I'd be happy to buy you a drink or something, like, tough to gauge if they're a drinker or not, and how long the flight is and what time of day it is, but also some sort of additional incentive maybe that you can provide. Like, I'll buy you, like, a snack box, like, that's a good compromise, I guess. Happy to buy you, like, a snack box or something or a drink or something, but, like, just to sit in the seat already and be like, "Oh, you wanna sit in the seat that's yours? "Oh, you sure? Why not just sit in the middle one behind? It's just as good."
Yeah, I mean, there's just no way. There's just no way for me. In general, I find people traveling who, like, really feel the need to want to be around the people they're traveling with at all times to be just
Be careful. Be careful, because you are that person.
What do you mean?
You
No, no, but
love to be right next to the people you travel
I
with
like
and talk to
talking.
them.
I like talking, so I'm happy to talk to the people, but that's in the sense that, like, yes, if we can pick the same seats next to each other. If we can't pick the seats next to each
Yeah.
other, I'm not asking anyone to move.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
then the other thing too is I'm not even it's like the people who go through passport control and have to be like, they get separated as they go through it, and then they tell you like, "Oh, can I move up to be next to my husband?" Why? You can't go through passport you can't spend the next 3.5 minutes briefly by yourself. Like, you have to shift through and
Oh,
inconvenience everyone else.
I'm
A
the opposite there. I am peace out. I'm on TSA pre-check. Find your own fucking way across.
and my real judgment for this is, they always wanna move forward, they never wanna move back. So it's never, "Oh, hey, sorry, my wife is behind you. I'm just gonna slip behind you so I'm with her." It's always the wife or husband going, "Oh, my wife or husband's just in front of you. Can I just move in front of you so that we can" like, "No, no, they can
Yeah.
take a hike, be behind me. That's no problem.
Yeah.
Move me one up. You 2 so
"Excuse me, can
desperately
I
need to."
move behind you?"
Yeah, but that would be you know what I mean? If 2 people are like, "No, no, we have to be together." Then do that. Again, don't treat it as an entitlement to like when we travel the way that we expect to travel. Like everyone else is trying to do the same thing as you. Everyone else has a lot of stuff going on. It's not the most fun day for anyone. You don't live in some bubble where you get to control the environment perfectly as you move through an airport in an airplane.
Can you promise me, Eddie, that if this happens to you again and someone asks, "Can I move in front to be with my wife?" you can say, "Yeah, sure, your wife can move behind me to be with
Oh,
you." Can you
100%.
promise me you do that?
Yes, yes. I might actually seek it out. I might now trying to like I might try and split couples up as we go through, just like really sneak in between them. But the problem is too, they usually don't even really it goes back to the idea, they don't give you much of a choice because usually they start squeezing by you and then
Yeah.
go, "Oh, it's my husband there." And 2, they also often will do like, "Those are my kids." And it's like, "Yeah, those are your 2 kids with your husband." Like, I think he
They're
can t
welcome to go behind me.
yeah. I'm not
Oh,
stopping
you're
you.
grabbing them to pull them back to the back of the line? Go ahead.
That's very nice of you.
I see this going so good.
Speaking of, and this is obviously this slightly depressing though, but there was that incident at the Denver airport with the person who got hit by the plane, and it appears to have been, intentional on their part. The fact that there's a video of that, which makes me wonder, just like in the world we live in now, are people filming every takeoff and every landing at all times? And I understand sometimes
Probably.
yeah, I know, but it really, when you think about it, it's kinda crazy. I understand sometimes when you're taking off or landing from a cool looking airport or a cool backdrop, yeah, if you wanna get
Yeah.
your video of that, no judgment there. But this was just nighttime in the Denver airport, you can't see anything. Like, what are you filming that for, and what are you gonna do with that video? As it
They're
turns out
trying to film the Illuminati, little bunkers that are underground.
as
They're
it
trying to
turns
find the
out,
entrance.
something super dramatic happened, and that person probably made quite a bit of money selling that video over the last 24 hours. But yeah,
Any other non-sport entertainment topics?
TV wise, still watching Rooster and enjoying it.
Nice.
Still watching From and enjoying it.
So I've got a From update for you.
Yeah,
Last week, was it last week? Yeah, Thursday. I got on my Stairmaster and I said, "Shit, I've got no television left to watch." I said, "You know what? Let me start up this show From that Eddie keeps raving about that is constantly on, I think, like Sky, some sort of Sky show. I see it. It's on all the time on British TV. It's not available anywhere. It's not on any streamers. So you fucked me. You put it in my head, and it's not even fucking available. I gotta pay $25 for season 1 on Amazon.
It's on MGM Plus.
Yeah, that's not a real streamer. You have to
But
pay for MGM Plus.
it's good, and supposedly too. I mean, I don't like keep up to the from update news much, but next season is the last season. So they've this season. I mean, again, it's not an amazing show. It's just a good consumable show. You know, like
Yeah.
it's not. You're not going to walk away from it being wowed. And there's definitely
Well,
some very stupid bits to it, but
I figured like a pilot episode would be like engaging, so it'd be good to like get on the elliptical
yeah,
or the
pretty.
Stairmaster
I would,
and
yeah. The
kind of stay entertained.
first couple of episodes are definitely really good.
Yeah.
Rooster's
So
still
I was
good.
all pumped. It was in my head, and then I couldn't fucking find it. I was so mad.
I'll buy you the box set.
Thank you. I don't know. It's going to help me on the Stairmaster, but
You couldn't just read the details, and then, yeah, Rooster's good. Your Friends and Neighbors, okay. I don't know how up to speed you are on that on this season.
I don't watch that show.
Yeah,
I haven't watched it at all.
Yeah. Last
Just
episode.
never got into it.
Last episode was a little depressing.
Yeah.
John Hamm's
Character's
character's
Don't spoil it.
dad died.
Oh, boy.
Just a whole
Oh,
episode.
dad died.
Just a whole episode about his dad's funeral. Just
Oh, boy.
a little bit of a downer. Sometimes you put TV on and you're like, "Oh, Your Friends and Neighbors." That's a good lighthearted show. Like I've had a long day. It just helps. You don't have to think during it. It's just a good decompress moment. It just sets the evening up nicely for going to sleep and just kind of relaxing. And then you sit through 40 minutes of a fake funeral and wake, and it wasn't quite the relaxing moment that I'd hoped for.
Yeah, I've just been watching not much actually. Euphoria, still current on Euphoria. It is such a fucking batshit crazy show. At this point I kind of hate watch it now. It is entertaining, but it's entertaining because I think it's just so insane. And Sam Levinson, I think, I don't know why they let him get away with some of the stuff he does.
This is
borderline creepy.
I know this is a potential spoiler. I don't watch Euphoria, but
Okay.
It's everywhere in terms of clips on social media, so you see everything. And I have no idea.
So spoiler alert for Euphoria if you're watching.
So Zendaya died, right?
No,
she didn't die?
not yet. You don't know.
But she's buried up to her head in sand or something. This is the clip that I've seen. And then
he's coming out, and he comes out on a horse. With the polo stick. With a polo stick.
I hope her head flies off.
I mean, there's no way. There's 3 episodes left. There's no way she's dying. Which kind of makes and this is what like season 3 has just gotten exponentially crazier. So
is it HBO? Euphoria?
Yeah, it's HBO.
Oh, she dies. She dies penultimate episode, Frank.
It's not penultimate. There's 8.
No. Yeah, but next episode they just don't show that, and then beginning of episode 9 or whatever, she dies.
7. Yeah, because there's 8 total, so there's 3 left. But I mean, so in season 3, Zendaya's character Rue has gone from. So it's like 5 years after high school, so she's gone from in 5 episodes working in like a drive-through coffee shop to being a drug mule and swallowing bags of drugs in the Mexican border and shipping them over, to then being like a manager at a strip club, to then selling illegal firearms and guns to Mexican cartels, to then being an informant for the DEA, to now being buried to her head, about to have her head knocked off in 5 episodes. That's her arc in 5 episodes. She has about 15 to 20 minutes of screen time on each episode max. It's ridiculous.
I mean, life can spiral pretty fast. But, this is always the interesting thing to me.
And the first 2 seasons, she was just a high school drug addict. She had, like,
Standard.
no,
Standard.
like, she knew like, the in one episode, she starts to be, like, an illegal arms dealer and knows nothing about guns leading up to this moment that she's all of a sudden out of the bounds proficient in guns.
But I always find that to be the case. TV and movies make it seem like it's way easier to get involved in organized crime than like, I think if I set my goals, like, set my sights of, like, you know what? On my kind of wish board for 2026, I wanna manifest being involved in some form of organized crime. I think I'd struggle to pull it off. Like, if I really like, if I went out of my way to try and get in there. And I say this as someone who's spent large parts of my life late at night in bars frequented by all sorts of people. And if it were that easy to get involved in it, I think there would have at least been a moment in time when maybe someone would have said something, But
Yeah. Well, hers was easy. She went from drug mule to drug dealer and then dealt to a house where the owner of the house owns a bunch of strip clubs that are shady strip clubs. And then she happened to just be hanging out with all the girls at the party because she's attracted to these beautiful stripper women that are dancing at the party for fun. And then gets to talking to the owners of the strip club about how awesome of a life it would be to manage a strip club. And next day she's hired.
That's how I get
Well,
all my
actually, no, I
jobs.
take it back. I take it back. Not next day she's hired. They then go outside and she puts a Coke can on her head and he shoots it off with a handgun. And he thinks, man, this woman's crazy. I'll hire her.
I
And
want her
that's
to
how she
manage.
starts at the
I
strip
want her to
club.
manage my bar.
Not bar, just strip club.
Well, I want to give her some degree of responsibility.
It's such a crazy show.
The only thing I haven't been doing a YouTube, much YouTubing, sort of looking into, like watching series in small sequences. I haven't been doing that much. However, I have been getting into the videos of like the body cam footage when people get arrested. And
Yeah.
I love it because there's two types of those. One is it's oftentimes people pretending to be cops who get busted for not being cops. And those videos are often narrated by people who are either cops or former cops who are, like, I suppose, trying to show you why you shouldn't do this, sort of, or like, but it's usually sort of as if they're almost providing training for law enforcement officers, which to me, it feels sort of like they're training people to pretend to be in the police. So the thing that
I
they're
don't know what videos you're talking
I'll
about.
start sending them to you, don't worry. There's a lot of them. It will be guys who put, for example, special lights on their truck, and then they pull
That's
people over.
illegal.
Yeah, well, yeah.
This is highly illegal.
Yeah, Frank, that's why the videos exist, because they get arrested. So it will be
Wait, but
those.
who's getting arrested with the body
The
cam?
fake cops. So that I'll give you
So the fake cops have body cams, but they're
no,
being
no, 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 no.
arrested by
No, no, no.
real people with body cams?
No, 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 no. The fake cops, usually what happens is something along these lines. A guy puts lights on his car to sort of make them look like he might be driving a police car. Then
Okay.
he either pretends to pull someone over, or sometimes they for real pull people over and then don't do any like this isn't they're not robbing people or anything. It's nothing that smart. They're maybe
This is
writing
so weird.
they may be like writing them a fake ticket or just getting angry at them and telling them like, you shouldn't do that. You were breaking the law, but I'm going to let you off because I'm off duty right now. And then eventually they pull someone over who realizes that they weren't a cop, who then calls 911 and says, hey, this guy driving a Ford Explorer with license plate, blah, 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 just pulled me over. And then that guy gets pulled over by the cops 15 minutes later. And then
But
that's when
how do they have the footage of the fake cop, or they don't?
that they have the footage when that guy's getting arrested. So you see
Okay.
then him like getting pulled over, and then you see the
Okay.
interactions. You don't have footage of him. This is why it's really dull. You don't actually have footage of him doing anything interesting. You just get to
Yeah.
watch the interaction between the police officer and the guy getting arrested. The only reason I find it amazing is because, and obviously you have a dad who is in law enforcement, so you could speak to him and see people getting arrested, the excuses. If I was breaking the law, I'd have so many excuses ready to go. People have no excuses prepared. And maybe
Problem is because they're dumb.
this is true. And that's for the most part.
And
These
a
are
lot of
people.
times it's probably like substance related.
No, it often isn't. The last one I watched, the guy is a pilot, but he's pretending when he's not flying for American Airlines, he's pretending to be a cop. Like he
He's
has nothing.
moonlighting as a cop
He
in LA.
These are you. It's either people who like wanted to be cops but then
Crazy.
did something else, or it's people who wanted to be cops and couldn't get in. And so sometimes there'll be people who work security at the mall, but then they'll have their uniform that they'll wear that looks kind of copish, and then they'll add a few details to make them look a bit more copish.
This is insane.
Yeah. But yeah, so those, and then the others are just people getting caught doing really stupid crimes, which again, these people have. Sometimes it's a lot of it too is people stealing money from relatively small businesses. So it'll be their employer calling in and being like, I run a tire shop and this person's been stealing like $150,000 over the last 6 months, which always is like, how did it take you that long to notice? You run a fairly small operation. This isn't Microsoft, and that's a rounding error.
You run a small startup company.
Yes, yes. But then the cops start speaking to this person, and the conversation goes the same way. Hey, look, I'm just trying to understand what's happening. The line you hear a lot. I don't know if cops are being told to say this line, but you hear it. I watch maybe 2 of these videos a day. I'd say 50% of them contain the following line. People say it, but the truth can actually set you free. Under no circumstances for these people could the truth set them free because they've committed crimes.
They should just say the truth can just make this easier for me.
Yes. You could save me a lot of work if you just told me exactly what happened. Like it would make but not only do they not have anything prepared, and so they'll on their feet, they'll come up with an excuse, and then they get pushed on that excuse, and then the excuse radically changes. And I get it. This is why people get caught, and the people are stupid and desperate. So I understand that. I would definitely have an excuse. And then also, too, it does make you fundamentally go like, I should just always ask for a lawyer at all times because these people will just talk themselves into a hole. And again, it's the same thing. You just watch one of these videos, the cop's just trying to be nice. Like, you got some nice pair of shoes on. Like, oh, what do you do? Blah, 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 blah. And the next thing they know, they're like, I murdered someone 3 days ago. Just so desperate to keep the friendly vibes going. Yeah, that's my latest YouTube rabbit hole.
Well, with that rabbit hole, I think we'll call it a day.
Sounds good.
All right, talk to you later.
See ya.
Cheerio.